Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on Metronic. In this video, we'll discuss on Metronic's Webpack installation for version 6.0.8 and above. So before we get started, we first need to purchase and download Metronic. To do that, we need to navigate to Theme Forest and then go to HTML popular items, and you usually see Metronic on the first row. Click on Metronic and then you can either live preview it and go ahead and purchase it. Once you've purchased, you give an option to download Metronic, and once you've downloaded it, you will look something like this. You get a zip file, and all you need to do is just unzip it into your computer, and in that folder, you'll be greeted with three main folders. You have a design, doc, and theme. In design, you'll basically see our PSD and sketch files for your design tasks. You see a docs file, which is basically where we keep all of our official documentation, and we have a theme. Theme is where we have our three main packages. For Metronic, we have an Angular package, Classic, and Default. Angular package is basically Metronic using the Angular framework. Classic and Default are pretty much the same in terms of HTML output, but Default will have build tools that comes along with it, whereas Classic does not. We'll get into how build tools work in a minute, but let's first open up our official documentation. We go to doc and go to docs.html, open that up, and navigate to Webpack, and then we'll see a Webpack quick start. We basically have a very quick 8-step installation. So once you run all these 8 steps, you pretty much have Metronic running on your local machine perfectly fine. Again, this will be a Webpack installation video. If you need a Gulp installation video, we also have that for version 6.0.8 and above, and it will be also in the link in the there'll be a link in the description below. So first, we need to, of course, download the theme source from the marketplace, which if you already have, you can go to like Theme Forest and get it. And then we need to install Node.js. You can install it either Windows or Mac. However, if you've already done this, you don't really need to do it. But if you have a very old version of Node.js, then we suggest for you guys to just re-download it and reinstall it on your machine, just to keep Node.js up to date. So now let's look at our theme. Go to default, and in our default we have a slightly different structure from our previous version. What we have here now is each demo is independent from one another. So if you are using Metronic for your project, and let's say if you're using demo 1 for your project, you do not need to worry about any configuration conflicts or any component conflicts from one demo to another. Each demo is basically its own project or its own independent project. You have its own source, own assets, own tools, even own configurations for either Webpack or Gulp. But in this video, we'll be talking about Webpack more. So everything is all independent from one another. So there will not be any conflicts from one demo to another. So what we need to do here is we need to install npm yarn, and that's it. So all we need to do is we just need to go to our tools folder. We need to select a demo first. For this example, we go for demo 1. We go to tools folder in demo 1. Perhaps maybe let's have a look. In demo 1, you have like source and tools, right? So maybe if we look at, say, demo 7, we also see source and tools. If you go to tools, you also see the exact same files. So if you want to start installing like npm or yarn or a specific demo, then you can just go to that demo folder, go to tools, and type in cmd at the address bar to open up your command prompt. If you're using Macs, you need to open up terminal and navigate to your demo, and then just type in your npm or yarn global installation. But if you already have installed npm or yarn, you don't really need to do this. All you need to do is type in yarn to start downloading all the third-party plugins that Metronic needs. If you're upgrading Metronic from an older version, you can just run yarn upgrade to ensure that all of Metronic's third-party plugins are replaced or updated to this latest version that Metronic requires. Okay, we've done running yarn. So next thing we do is just to start our Webpack. So to do that is just type in npm run build, and Webpack will start its thing. Okay, let's move this here and open up our demo1 folder. As you can see, this folder is now being built as well. Okay, that was quick. Let's go to this, and as you can see, all our assets are now in here. Our CSS, our JS, media, plugins, SAS, everything's here. And if we go to index.html, we will see Metronic load up. Okay, so here we can start browsing, like our wizards, the FAQ pages, check out some different headers, or a new drop zone plugin, and whatnot. So essentially, that is how you just install Webpack or install Metronic using Webpack. So again, if you want to do this same thing, or you want to start using Metronic, but instead of demo1, you want to use demo, let's maybe use demo 7 for example. Just go to tools, type in the cmd to open up command prompt, run yarn. So that once it's to install all of the third-party plugins that Metronic needs, and the moment this gets completed, all you need to do is type in npm run build, and then pretty much your demo is built, and you can now start previewing Metronic. So let us run this background for a moment, and let's look into our IDE. Oh wait, before we do that, let's look at documentation and go to our build tools and go to Webpack, because there will be some additional commands and options that you can use with Webpack. So the default way of building is npm run build, as what we saw. There is also npm run watch, which is basically if you do any changes to our JS or CSS or SAS files, it will just automatically re-render and deploy or rebuild the Webpack. Or Webpack will just basically start rebuilding itself. If you need a localhost environment, you can also do a npm run localhost to start up a localhost server. But if you can also use your own localhost software such as XAMPP or WAMP. So it's up to you whether you want localhost or not. Metronic fully runs without localhost, with or without localhost, so it doesn't really matter. And then comes our this is what we call a Webpack parameters, or Webpack shortcuts, or Webpack options or commands. So if you want to have an RTL version, by default RTL is set to false. So if you want to build an RTL version, all you need to do is type in npm run build and then --RTL. So as you can see, what we have here previously is what we did is we just ran this. So if you want to have an RTL version, all we do is just press --RTL, and we'll build an RTL version. we also have other options such as a prod, CSS, and JS. A prod basically means is we are building a production version of that demo or a production version of your project that's using Metronic. So what we mean by production version is basically we are just going to minify all of our assets so that it'll be more optimized for page loading. CSS is just we are just going to exclude CSS from the build. It's set to true by default, but if we do not want to compile CSS, we can actually just type this like npm run build -css equals false. Or if we do not want to compile or build our JS, we just do set our JS to false. Okay, this is our version 7, demo 7 done with yarn, so we can just start npm run build, and what it does is it will start building demo 7's demo. And as you can see, this file is done, and you have demo 7 ready to go. So again, you can just do this multiple times for each demo, and each demo is independent from one another, and each configuration for each demo is also independent from one another, so it will not conflict itself. And to customize Webpack, you first need to go to our theme, go to default, go to demo 1 or any demo that you're working on, go to tools and go to Webpack. In Webpack we have our vendors, and when we have our styles and scripts.js. So scripts is basically where we define all of Metronic's scripts, like default scripts such as our utils, our app, our header, menu, and so on. Styles is where we define this specific demo's SAS file or this specific demo styles. So it's only including one SAS file, simply because if you go to this path here into our source, assets, SAS, and go to style, we can see that the style.cs and style.sas basically includes or imports all the necessary SAS files that we need for this specific demo. So if we go to, like, say, demo 7, and we go to source, assets, and SAS, and go to style, you can see that the layout includes and the options for the SAS files to be included for demo 7 differs from demo 1. It's because basically demo 7 is actually a different demo. It has different layouts, different structures. For example, this is demo 7 and this is demo 1. As you can see, it's quite different. So let's look back into our official documentation and look at our build config. So our build config is actually very simple to read once you understand it. So if you go to demo 1 or any demo, every demo will have its own Webpack folder. So if you go to, like, so for example, demo 1, we have Webpack here. In demo 7, you have Webpack here as well. And each demo, like demo 3, will also have its own Webpack folder. So every demo will have its own Webpack. So go to the Webpack folder in any demo that you're working on. Go to vendors, and you go to, in vendors, you have global and custom. Global is where we define Metronic's global plugins. So we have, like, we have Bootstrap, we have Block UI, we have Clipboard, and a whole lot of other plugins that you want. And all it does here is Webpack will bundle all of these plugins, whether it's JS or CSS. It will bundle everything into this output path. So where is this output path? So it will be in the dist. And if you go to assets, go to plugins, you go to global here, and then you find these two files here, which is the plugins bundle CSS or JS file. We're not defining the extension here, is because Webpack splits CSS and JS automatically. If you can see, for example, this Toaster plugin here, we have a CSS file, and we have a this is technically a JS file, but it is basically an initialization using a node module source. So to understand that a little bit further, we can look into certain examples. So for example, let's look at this again. Let's look at our global.js. So let's say we want to add a new plugin to our global bundle. So what you do is scroll all the way down. We put the comments here just to keep it neat. Say this is my plugin. And then what we do here is just require files. So let's say our plugin is a third-party plugin that is not installed via node modules, not installed via node, or not via npm, or not via yarn. It's basically we just downloaded the JS files, or we downloaded the package, the plugin package that has a CSS and a JS file that we just need to include. So what we do here is we add that file or that folder into somewhere within our project, and then we just type in require and then the path of it. So say path, say this is plugin.css, and maybe a plugin.js, and that's it. Your plugin will now be included into the global plugin bundle. But if your plugin is available via node, then you can just install your plugin using npm or yarn. And when you do that, if you look at our option here, you can just type in yarn add and then the package name, and then once it's installed into node modules, then you can just require the package. For example, instead of this, we can actually type in like this, and it will work. However, some plugins require you to initialize them. So to initialize them, you need something like this. So if you can see here, our dual list box does that, and our wnum does it, and also the no UI slider does it. So what you do to initialize it is actually also very simple. You just have to do a window dot and then the plugin name, which is at this point, at this example, we're just calling it plugin, equals require plugin. And then when this happens, then you can basically use your plugin wherever you want. So you can start writing your JS code and whatever, and you can just start using this plugin. But in this case, we are actually adding the plugin into the global bundle. So if you scroll all the way up, as you can see here, it's going into the global bundle. Now, what if we want to add a plugin that is not a global plugin? We want to call it like individually by itself. So if we go to our Webpack and go to custom, we have a few custom plugins here. So if you look at our data table, for example, we have a data table that is being deployed to a datatables.bundle file, and it requires all this stuff. So if you need your own custom plugin that doesn't need to be within a global bundle file, you can just add your custom plugin here. Just create a new file called, say, my plugin, no spaces, .js. And then what you can do is maybe you can go to one of the other options, copy this, put it to your folder, and then replace this path. Say instead of custom JS3, you'll be my plugin, and then say my plugin dot bundle. Now, if your plugin has assets like images, you can just include it like this. But for this example, we can just remove it, because let's say your plugin doesn't have images, and all you have to do is you have to add dependencies if you want, or you can just add your my plugin here. And then if style, just add your style to it. Like this is say my plugin slash style.css, something like that. And that's pretty much how you add plugins to Webpack. And once it's deployed, it basically goes to wherever your output is defined as. So for this example, because my plugin obviously doesn't exist, let's look at JS3. It's going to plugins custom JS3. So if we go to our disk folder, we go to assets, plugins, let's close this, and we go to where's this custom and JS3. JS3 there, as you can see, we have our CSS, which is basically this one here, our JS, which is coming from our node, and we have an image, which is basically what we are defining. So here's a little bit more reading on how the web config structure works. We have our demos, and then in our demo folders we have basically scripts and styles. Our demos is basically like the main folder, the demo main folder. And then in our demos we have each demo we have a Webpack, and within our Webpack we have scripts and styles, which is this two. And then we have vendors, and vendors will have custom and global. So let's look at our Webpack. We have vendors, we have custom here, all the custom files here, and we have a global that has basically all the global plugins. And that's pretty much all we need to know about Webpack. So that's it for our Webpack installation video. I hope you found this video informative. Give us a like if you think so. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that every time we release a new video, you get an update. And also please follow us on our social media platforms such as our Twitter, Facebook, and whatnot. Links will be in the description below. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.